It began with a flicker, just a subtle pulse of light captured by Hawaii's Gemini Observatory. At first, scientists thought it was a calibration error, maybe an optical illusion born from the telescope's own lenses. But the data kept repeating, and soon the truth emerged. 3i Atlas wasn't traveling alone. Multiple bright points of light were following the interstellar object through the blackness. Each one moved in perfect synchronization, as if tied to an invisible thread. This wasn't dust. This wasn't debris. It was coordination, deliberate, rhythmic, intelligent. Across observatories in Chile, Germany, and the United States, astronomers watched the same eerie dance unfold. An interstellar traveler, accompanied by a silent convoy of companions gliding together through the void between worlds. Then came the anomalies, the strange green glow that appeared where no carbon molecules should exist, the stability that defied every law of thermodynamics, and the resistance to solar plasma bursts that should have torn it apart. What kind of object survives the fury of a coronal mass ejection without flinching? What kind of structure releases water vapor in the frozen outskirts of space far beyond the sun's reach? Now, as scientists whisper behind closed doors and agencies go quiet once again, one question grows louder with every observation. What if these are not fragments of a comet, but something far more deliberate? What if what we're witnessing isn't a traveler at all, but a fleet, a formation crossing our solar system with precision, purpose, and silence? And if that's true, then maybe we've been looking at the universe the wrong way all along. It all began at the Gemini North Observatory in Hawaii, one of the most advanced telescopic systems on Earth. Astronomers were conducting routine observations when a strange pattern began to emerge from the deep space data. At first, it seemed like an anomaly, perhaps a faint reflection or the result of an optical distortion. But as the measurements were verified and re-verified, the implications became undeniable. Atlas was not traveling through space alone. Multiple smaller points of light appeared alongside the interstellar object, moving through the void in what could only be described as a coordinated formation. Each one maintained a stable, tightly bound trajectory, mirroring the path of 3i Atlas with uncanny precision. These weren't random dust particles, and they weren't sensor artifacts. They were distinct, confirmed sources of light, real objects observable across multiple frames, behaving in ways that no known fragments or natural debris ever had. As the Gemini team released their findings for peer review, astronomers worldwide began to take notice. The data suggested that this wasn't a chaotic cloud of debris, but a coherent system moving together, a structured convoy bound not by gravity, but by something far stranger. Scientists exercised extreme caution, as they always do. Every mundane explanation was tested. Could it be the result of lens diffraction, sensor interference, or perhaps pieces of the primary object breaking apart as it approached the inner solar system? But that theory didn't hold. If this had been natural fragmentation, the trajectories would have scattered unpredictably, forming irregular trails of dust and chaotic tumbling motions. Instead, what they saw defied the statistical behavior of known comets and asteroids. These bodies were stable, ordered, and disturbingly synchronized, maintaining a formation that resisted all natural explanations. The deeper researchers looked, the more profound the mystery became. Atlas wasn't just another visitor from interstellar space. It appeared to be leading others, a procession of smaller companions that followed like shadows through the cosmic dark. As images from Gemini continued to pour in, one truth began to emerge from the silence of the void. Whatever this was, it wasn't moving randomly. It was moving with purpose. As the data continued to flow in, astronomers began to realize they were witnessing something unprecedented. Atlas wasn't an isolated traveler cutting through the darkness of interstellar space. It was part of a formation, a phenomenon so rare that it immediately sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Each of the smaller bodies accompanying it moved in near-perfect synchronization, maintaining a constant spatial relationship with the main object as though bound by an invisible force. The most remarkable detail was their consistency. The trajectories did not drift, tilt, or disperse as natural debris would. Instead, they remained coherent, tracing the same elegant curve through the void. If these companions were simply fragments torn from the main nucleus, broken apart by solar heat or gravitational stress, they should have behaved chaotically. Astronomers expected to see uneven, tumbling, dispersing debris trails or random scattering patterns, typical of comets undergoing fragmentation. But instead, what they observed was the opposite: precision, order, balance. The companions weren't diverging. They were staying together. Across the world, independent astronomers stepped in to verify the claim. Stephen Burns posted a detailed time-lapse sequence online, showing several distinct luminous points traveling alongside 3I Atlas in smooth, unified motion. In Germany, another observer, known by the handle Night Monkey, identified multiple individual trajectories, each maintaining a fixed position relative to the object's core. And in a particularly striking observation, Alexander Flume noticed a brief green flash separated from the primary body, a distinct glow not caused by his equipment, adding yet another layer of mystery to an already baffling event. The evidence became overwhelming. These were discrete physical companions, not artifacts of light or interference, yet their behavior defied every established principle of celestial mechanics. Natural bodies do not move this way. Organized, deliberate, unwavering. The idea that a comet-like object could be leading a convoy of companions through the solar system seemed absurd. And yet, it was exactly what the data showed. In laboratories and observatories from Chile to California, scientists hesitated to draw conclusions, but privately, whispers began to spread. If the motion was this precise, this consistent, this intentional, then maybe it wasn't natural at all. While the scientific community struggled to understand the object's internal composition and bizarre emissions, another detail began to eclipse all others. The latest high-resolution images from the Gemini Observatory revealed something that no one could quite explain. The smaller objects accompanying 3I Atlas were not drifting apart. They were moving in formation. Each companion maintained its distance from the primary body with uncanny precision, following a synchronized trajectory as though guided by an invisible organizing principle. For weeks, researchers attempted to reconcile this with the laws of celestial mechanics. If these were natural fragments broken loose by the heat of the sun or the pull of gravity, they should have dispersed unpredictably. Fragmentation produces chaos, bits and pieces spinning, scattering, and drifting away along unstable orbits. Yet here, the opposite was true. The so-called fragments appeared stable, uniform, and coordinated, each reflecting sunlight in rhythm, with the movement of 3I Atlas, as if bound by design rather than accident. Scientists described the scene as a choreography without a choreographer. Some wondered whether the formation was held together by electromagnetic forces, an unknown field, or even deliberate control. Whatever the cause, the precision was undeniable. Even amateur astronomers observing from backyard telescopes across Europe and North America confirmed what professionals were seeing: multiple discrete light sources, all keeping perfect pace with the primary object. The implications were staggering. If these companions truly represented independent entities traveling together, then 3I Atlas was not a lone interstellar wanderer at all. It was a convoy, a collective motion across the solar system that suggested purpose, coordination, and perhaps even communication between its components. In the quiet corners of astrophysical circles, one question began to surface, a question that no one wanted to voice publicly. What if these were not fragments but probes? What if what humanity was witnessing was not a random collection of rocks but a deliberate arrangement? A pattern of movement engineered by something or someone beyond our understanding. For the first time, the data hinted not at coincidence, but organization, a behavior that transcended everything known about interstellar debris. And as the world's telescopes turned toward 3I Atlas, scientists couldn't escape a growing realization. If this was coordination, then we were no longer looking at a phenomenon of nature, but at a manifestation of intention.